Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and today I'm talking about the updated General Liu rifle. This continues my coverage of the June patch for BF1. I'll link to the other videos I've produced covering the patch in the description and my pinned comment. But what's changed for the General Liu? Well, it now has a single round fire mode or bolt action mode, which appears to have a sweet spot. This applies to both variants of the weapon. So basically, the medic class now has an infantry scout rifle, which can also fire in semi-auto mode for 6 rounds per reload. You can maintain close to mid-range potency with the normal fire mode of the General Liu, but also have the potential to drop people at range in 1 or 2 shots with the single fire mode. If the muzzle velocity for the single fire mode is the same as the semi-auto mode, then that bullet is going to fly at 800 meters per second, which is pretty fast, making it reasonably easy to line shots up at range. So you could look at this change as having produced an infantry scout rifle, which can also contest close range fights with a semi-auto fire mode and the ability to heal up by virtue of being a medic. You can also stay aimed down sight between shots whilst using the single fire mode as well, although I admittedly very rarely do this in the footage as I've been conditioned not to in my gaming experience, but regardless, it's a nice bonus ability to have. On top of all that, you can obviously also employ the tactic of body shotting an enemy and then switch into your sidearm to finish them off. But I was using the Peacekeeper as my sidearm for this footage, so one, I'm saving those clips for my Peacekeeper video, but also the Peacekeeper has a long weapon switch animation, so it wasn't particularly viable for me to go for weapon switch kills on this occasion, but I'd advise you to try it out if you're using the General Liu with a different sidearm. Now, if we take all of the strengths and abilities that I've mentioned, it sounds pretty overpowered, right? And I did initially put "this is broken" on the thumbnail for this video before I collected the footage because I truly expected it to be, but I had to change that because in practice I just didn't feel that way. So I decided I'd rather not be disingenuous, even if that thumbnail would likely pull more views, and there are a few reasons why I just didn't find it to be OP for me, and I do mean for me. It may well be completely broken in someone else's hands, but for me, I don't know if it's some crazy OCD thing, but I just couldn't get used to when I wanted to use each fire mode. I know at range you should use single fire, and any closer use semi-auto, but my head either wanted to switch all the time or simply nagged at me that I maybe had the wrong one on. So for me, and maybe some other people, that's going to take some adjusting and getting used to. Then I found that to really take advantage of the sweet spot, I wanted to use a higher magnification than I normally do. But then at close range, I found this to be a hindrance for the semi-auto fire mode compared to what I'm used to. So a potential strength kind of became a weakness for me, which is a real shame. I just couldn't find a magnification that worked for me for every situation I get into. Plus, for some reason, I really didn't enjoy using either sight for the single fire mode. It's just one of those things. I tried switching to the buckhorn sight, which I very rarely used, just to see if it would help, but I think I actually found it to be worse. I have no issues with the standard sights for the semi-auto fire mode, but at longer range for the single shot mode, it just wasn't working for me. Then I would also like it to be a bit more clear as to which fire mode you have equipped. There is a symbol that shows you, but I just found it to be a real pain to look for, and I really had to kind of study it to work out what it was showing me most of the time. And then a lot of times, I thought that just quickly firing some shots in semi-auto mode would perhaps have been just as easy, or perhaps an even easier kill than using the single fire mode. Not just at medium range, but sometimes at somewhat longer ranges as well. As I was collecting footage for this video, I kind of forced myself to use the single fire mode a lot, but I ended up wanting to use the semi-auto fire a lot of the time, and I felt like I'd have performed better if I'd just done so. But having said all that, there were clearly some times that the sweet spot was very rewarding. It's an awesome bonus ability to have, and it can wreck some people from time to time. It just wasn't as powerful for me as I had envisaged, likely due to my own personal issues with the sights and stuff that won't affect some other players. I'm hoping that with some practice, I'll really warm to this weapon and be able to use it to the potential that I think it truly has, because for some people this may well be an absolute monster, and those strengths that I mentioned at the start make for a formidable sounding weapon. So are you one of those players who love this weapon? Are you excited to try it out if you haven't yet? And have any of you found similar issues to the ones I've mentioned? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's go over to the Board of Awesome for the epic people who allow you to get content from me full time by supporting the channel on Patreon. They are the main reason you're watching this video right now. So thanks to everyone on here. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the links to the Patreon page is in the description and in my pinned comment. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't want to miss future videos, including the upcoming weapon and variant reviews I'll be doing from the rest of the recent patch, turn on notifications with the bell button and select to always be notified with the options tab that should then pop up, and then feel free to like, share and subscribe. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.